All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
Hello, people of the world. Lucille Podcast episode 24. I'm Andrew. Ethan's there.
I am here.
So yeah, we've got a lot of racing to cover this week.
And now for last week's race reviews.
In terms of things that happened, Ethan, do you want to wager a pick point on whether I can go faster or slower than the 17 minutes that you said I would take for the Le
I'll
Mans?
wager a flip kitchen smoothie on it.
A flip. Okay, I'm trying to find my chicken award because I have not found it yet. But anyway, I'll go through it because I need to assign it to somebody here.
We readjusted the line though to 14.5, I thought.
Oh, we did?
Can we?
Uh,
I'm still saying over, but we're readjusting the line.
sure. All right. All right. We're gonna give the chicken award to, I know who it will be. Will be them.
Okay.
Because then we are also moving the Formula One news up so I can get the chicken award before I can get
Andrew
them.
has a dictatorship on the chicken award. It is his chicken, so it's
Yeah.
fair, but that's just the truth of it.
Well, yeah, get your own chicken. So I am
Maybe I
winner
will.
winner chicken dinner. All right, ready for the timer, Ethan, for the Le Mans review. So I'm gonna get
Ready,
this too. I'm not ready for
set.
go. 24 hours of Le Mans, kids. Hour one, you had a lot of battling for the lead in hypercar. You had the 6 Porsche on pole, and they swapped the lead with the 50 and 51 Ferrari in the first hour. So when 6, 50, 51, 50, 6, and then the 50 were the hypercar leaders. A lot of good battling at the start. I was at work. I missed this part. LMP2 battle went from the 14 AO Racing to the 9 Proton team. GTE was the 70 McLaren, who was on pole. They led the whole first hour. 47. That is the what is the 47? I believe that is the other cool, that is one of the two cool racing LMP2s. They limped to the garage on lap 2. Radiator was damaged by a stone on the warm-up lap, driver Matthew Bell said. 25, Algarve Pro Racing lost 2 laps due to repair work, car's left side. 23, United Autosport Orca. They were stuck in the gravel. That was my pick. 15, BMW, the hypercar, spun off the circuit, exiting the S's, slapping the Armco barrier side on. Damage was indeed minimal. 99, Proton Porsche ended up in the garage with a faulty door faulty door. That was I believe their hypercar. Number 78, Akatis ASP Lexus started from pit lane, and the 50 they had an unsafe release penalty. Hour 2, rain comes for the first time, 40 minutes into the hour. Hypercar, the 50 and 83 Ferrari swapped the lead and went 50, 83, 50, and then 83. LMP2, it was the Proton, then passing it to the Vector Sport. The 66 JMW Ferrari took the lead in GTE from the 70 Inception McLaren. Only incident was the clash between the 54 Vista AF Course Ferrari and the 47 Cool Racing LMP2 through the Porsche curves, where the Ferrari was penalized. Hour 3, the track dries, and 83 in hypercar, the 83 still leads. That's going to be the same for a while. Inter-Europol takes over from Vector in LMP2, and then the 87 Lexus takes over from the 66 Ferrari in GTE. First retirement of the race was the 54 of course Ferrari for losing the rear at the kink before the Dunlap chicane and hitting the barriers hard. 23 United Autosport had an off at Dunlap and went to the pits. A piece of gravel got stuck between the belt and the alternator, said Ben Keating, who's driving. 20 BMW, that's the art car. They lost control into the Ford chicane, spinning off the circuit and into the barriers. Our 483 hypercar still leads. Vector Sport retakes the lead in LMP2. The 46 GTE car takes the lead in GTE. I'm trying to think of what that is. Oh, oof, who is the 46? I'm going to look up because I cannot remember things.
Wasting precious time.
Yeah, wasting precious time. 46 is Team WRT. I should have known. I picked the other WRT car. Anyway, a 34-year Inter-Europol lost his left front wheel. Four Cielo called to retrieve it. The 22 United spun at the Ford chicane, flouting the DKR LMP2 in the process, and the 22 was penalized with a drive-through, and the 23 United had a second spin at Dunlap. Hour 5, 83 Hypercar still leads, and Vector Sport led in LMP2, and the WRT 46 led in GTE. Iron Dames were sideswiped through the Porsche curves by a Porsche Hypercar, sending them into a spin that turned out to be the 4 Porsche. So yeah, the IMSA group. 35, Alpine had an engine expire on them. Your favorite name, Ferdinand Habsburg, pulled
The GOAT.
off at the exit of the car and retired. 77 Proton Mustang entered its garage with steering issue. 3 Ganassi Cadillac had a moment where they spun off at Tetra Rouge, sliding off the circuit onto the grass, kissed the Armco. Both of the Lamborghini hypercars went off track, spinning on their outlaps during a pit cycle. 83 Ferrari, of course, still leads. 37 LMP2 leads. That's the cool racing car. And the 92 Manthey Porsche took the lead. 36 Alpine had a drive shaft failure and was retired. 4 Porsche and had repairs, and they lost time there. And there was a mechanical issue for the night Proton LMP2. They slowed to a stop at the Porsche curves, which ended their race. Rain again. This was about where I tuned in, right around here. Rain, you had 83 still leading hypercar. 37 gave it back to Vector, and then Dave gave it back to Cool. So, and GTE went from Manthey to the BMW. The 15 WRT BMW skipped the second chicane on its outlap, struggling on cold tires. When he rejoined, he was promptly nudged while being passed by the race-leading 83 AF course Ferrari as they were passing the pure racing Porsche. For Manthey, this context sent the BMW veering off the circuit, nose first into the barriers, ripping off the end of the car, and that was a retirement for them. Safety car for Rain. 20, the other BMW rear brake change. 37 had a spin at pit end, but they were still leading. Iron Lynx Lamborghini GT whatever, and went up in the barriers past second chicane. Just a little too much butter on the popcorn. Spun out, exiting the corner. 3 Cadillac had an off-track excursion at Indianapolis. No contact with the wall. 46 BMW and 23 United came together when rain was at its heaviest. Both cars continued. The exception, McLaren had a radiator issue, steam coming out there. Hour 8 still under safety car. 83 hypercar leads. Actually, this is not when I tuned in. I'll note that later. 22 United takes the lead from Cool Racing, and the Manthai 92 Pure takes the lead from 46, who gave the lead, bringing in a brake change, and the 9, if it was officially retired for Proton LMP2. Rain over track drying. Hypercar went from the 83 Ferrari to the 5 Porsche to the 83 Ferrari, and then the 8 Toyota. And LMP2 went back to Cool Racing, 92 in GTE. 83 had a 30-second stop-go penalty for the collision I mentioned earlier. Duquesne team, this is when I tuned in, stopped the car with the rear end smoking. That was under the safety car and retirement. 46 BMW split off the second, slid off the circuit on the run down the hill to the Dunlop Bridge, hitting the nose tires first, caused a water leak, car retired. Hour 10, hypercar went from 83 to the 5. That is literally the same thing. I don't know how I messed that up, but I did. The 8 hypercar led at the end of it. The 183 AF Course Ferrari led in LMP2, and the 59 McLaren took over in GTE. 66 JMW Motorsport Ferrari pulled out off the circuit with no power and retired. 155 Spirit of Race Ferrari and the number 59 United Autosport McLaren came together the first chicane, and they spun off. But yeah, Ferrari had drop off the lead lap. 1 hour 11, still the same leaders, but in GTE, the Pure Racing did have a short stint in the lead before returning it to the McLaren. Nielsen Racing made an error while trying to lap a slower car. They were running second in class at the time. Dive up to the inside of the 77 Proton Mustang, sending them into spin with both cars in the gravel. Hour 12, rain struck. I'm just going to say, just give a safety car came in out. So yeah, I'm just going to give you the 8 hypercar, the 183 LMP2, and the 59 GT were leading at the time. CrowdStrike by APR stopped at the circuit with a left rear wheel attached. That was a loose wheel. I'm not going to get. Yeah, detached. I'm not going to get the 14 minutes here. I'm screwed, but I'm going to still try. It's not over yet. 87 was handed 2 penalties for speeding and then a slow zone. Hour 13, the Manthai Porsche 92 took the lead. Hour 14, this is still under the safety car rain. Race control had to swap out the safety cars because they ran low on fuel. Nothing happened in hour 15, hour 16. No more rain, but still a safety car. Longest single safety car and longest amount of time spent behind the safety car. Around hour 14 was when I went to bed. I woke up at hour 22. Hour 17, green. 8 hypercar still. The 10 Vector took LMP2 lead, and the Manthai, the other Manthai, the 91, they took the lead in GTE. 51 of penalty dropped, had a drive-through penalty for speeding under the yellow. 92 Manthai brought the car back to the garage with a gearbox issue. Hour 18, the 6 Porsche took the lead in hypercar. 183 back to the lead in LMP2, and the 85 GTE car, which is the Iron Dames, they took the lead for a minute. 4 Penske Porsche lost at the kink, ended up in the tires, car out of the race, and a wet patch caught hard of racing out, sending them backwards, high speed into the tires. Their hard was heavy, and they flipped over, and they had a safety car. Hour 19, you had 4 cars lead: 6 Porsche, 2 Cadillac, 5 Porsche, and then the 50 Ferrari. Vector Sport retook the lead in LMP2, and then 91 took the lead back in GTE. 93 Peugeot ended up nose into tires under the safety car because they are French, I guess. 311 Cadillac slammed into the barriers hard as the race went green, and then were damaged and needed repairs. 3 Ganassi Cadillac had a loss of power, but they did get to pit lane because they are EV hybrids. Hour 20, no change. 50 still leads hypercar. 34 enter Europe back in LMP2. No change. Manthai in 91. 5 Porsche had a penalty, slow zone infringement. 3 Cadillac retired, punctured oil tank. And then 95 McLaren ended up in the garage with a motor and wishbone issue. And then its sister car pulled off to the side at Arnage and was retired on the spot. Hour 21, rain again. The 2 Cadillac takes the lead in hypercar. LMP2, 28 IDEC takes the lead, and 91 still leads in GTE. I'm just going to spoil it. They lead for the rest of the race. 83 was pushed into the garage after it encountered a hybrid system issue. Hour 22, rain still. The 50 Ferrari takes lead hypercar. 22 United takes the lead in LMP2, and they would lead for the rest of the race and win. 8 Toyota lost time to a wheel gun issue. 50 Ferrari had an unsafe release penalty, or they were at risk of one, and had its door opened because they had an issue with it. Hour 23, rain. 57 and 50 hypercar order. 51 Ferrari is handed a 5-second penalty for a collision with the 8 Toyota, and the number 2 Cadillac front wiper came off, forcing that team to change the blade. Hour 24, rain ends. 50 was the only car to lead in hypercar. 50 the 50 Ferrari, it was unsure of whether they were going to win because they were close on fuel, and they won. But if the race had been another lap, they would have lost. They would have ran out. So at the end of the day, this was a very good racing when there was racing, but there was a lot of not racing. So 7 out of 10 for me, and 15-25, not too shabby.
Not too shabby. You do owe me a smoothie, though. That will
Yeah.
be very enjoyable.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, I do have mostly one big question. Why didn't they just red flag the race if they were gonna safety car it for, what was that, 4 hours?
4 hours. Yeah, that's a good question. I I think they were hoping that, okay, this will be a quick thing, but I I don't it might be for drive time, just to not screw up drive time too bad. Because I don't know why. That it was kind of confusing.
Yeah,
They didn't broadcast really didn't explain why. Yeah, that's just how it is.
that's just
Um
what happened.
uh the old F1 guy, not Michael Massey, but Eduardo Freitas.
Mm-hmm.
He's the race director there now. So yeah, it was his decision. Yeah, I think that they should have either just say, okay, let's go green, see if it's fine, or red flag, because there was no point in doing that. You had drivers complaining, oh, I'm cramping up because I'm in my foot, because their feet were in places they're not supposed to be because you're off the throttle so much under yellow. You had drivers bored and like
Yeah.
asking their strategist, like, yo, what's happening? Can I get an update? Yeah, it was interesting. Shall I go to NASCAR now?
Let's get into it.
Sneeze. And another sneeze.
Bless you.
You love to see it. Thank you, Ethan. Iowa. First Iowa race, the Iowa Corn 350, presented by Ethanol. Stage 1, Blaney battles Larson, who was on pole. I'm just gonna say it. Those were the two best cars all day. So it was fitting that Blaney and Larson battle for a battle lap. Blaney wins the battle. Corey LaJoie spins on a lap 4. Why is all this bold? Anyway, after contact with Hocevar via Zane Smith, Larson gets the lead on the lap 10 restart. I'm just gonna have to say, like, all of my NASCAR notes are bolded on our document where we have things, and it just caught me off guard because it's just weird. Ethan, did you do this? Is this a
I did
prank?
not do this.
Okay, I trust you.
It
LaJoie,
doesn't look bolded on my.
well, I just unbolded it.
Okay.
Yeah, brother, yeah. Anyway, back to the racing. LaJoie spun on lap 4, yellow, after contact from Carson Hocevar. That was via Zane Smith. Hocevar getting his teammate, collecting all. That was all 3 Spire cars. You are not inspired by that. Anyway, Kyle Larson gets the lead on lap 10 restart. And shortly after, AJ Allmendinger had a flat tire due to contact of some sort. He had a flat tire in the Xfinity race. So bad day, bad weekend for AJ Allmendinger. Unfortunate. There were no bells dinged this weekend. Leaders pit, well, most pit cars that came out first were Larson, Blaney, Byron, Barry, and LaJoie. LaJoie took 2, and the 99 of Suarez, 6 Keselowski. They stayed out. Larson to the lead on the lap 59 restart. Blaney passes Larson and goes on to win stage 1. Larson gets lead on stage 2 restart or pit. I don't think there was pitting. I don't know. I didn't write it down. I think there had to have been pitting. But anyway, Larson gets lead on the restart. Nemechek, Haspins, Gregson, caution. Broadcast didn't show this, but Gregson did retaliate on Nemechek, gave him a bump and run later in the race. Larson, on that caution, Larson, the only driver who pits that would inadvertently ruin his race. You'll see later. Blaney gets lead on lap 87 restart. Under green, McDowell, Smith blow right front tires. No cautions. Some pit it early. Chastain then blows a tire. Some more pit. Truex speeding. Blaney gives pits from lead, giving lead to Elliott, who pitted a lap later, giving lead to Bell. Jones with a flat. That brought out a yellow. No, that did not bring out a yellow. Byron leads of cars that pitted. Blaney and Elliott battle for second of the cars that pitted. Bell pits, giving the lead to Keselowski. Caution for Hemrick, who blew a tire. Cars who haven't pitted pit except for Stenhouse, which was weird. Yeah, but yeah. Larson gets lead on lap 189 restart and goes on to win stage 2, which would end soon after. Actually, that strategy call didn't inadvertently ruin Larson's race because he did get back to lead. I did not remember that. Top 5 coming out of the pits were Keselowski, Larson, Barry, Elliott, and Suarez. Keselowski and Suarez taking 2. Second time where they went differently than others. So interesting crew chief calls. But Buescher and Gillen stayed out. Buescher holds lead on restart. Suarez spins Larson, and Hamlin was collected. I didn't think the drivers realized they were all 4 wide there. Drivers going for the same space of real estate. Yeah. That would take Larson out of contention. Hamlin was he somehow managed his way to the front somehow, but he had a terrible car anyway. 228 restart. Josh Berry passes Chris Buescher for the lead. Buescher retakes the lead next lap. Soon after, though, Berry would get the lead from Mr. Buescher. At lap 260, Buescher had a right front tire down, resulting in caution. He was 5th. everyone pits. Top 3 take 2. They were Laney, Logano, Stenhouse, and then Barry, and then Elliott or Best on 4. But with the choose, Byron was the highest driver on the choose that took 4. Blaney gets the lead on lap 267 restart. Bush has left rear issue on lap 270 and retires. Ryan Blaney wins solid race. I'd give it a 7.5 out of. I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's very good. You had a lot of interesting strategies. Fortunately, with the repave, it was too bottom lane heavy. If you had the top lane, you could rip that around. I felt like a good Richmond race instead of a pure Iowa race. Repave the tops of the corners, hopefully between now and the next cup race there. So yeah, Ethan, it's time for the news, and I'll let you.
Time for the news.
Yeah, I'll try to find my chicken.
And now for the news.
All right. I will start things off with some Formula One news, some updates. Formula One is back when teams are challenging the legality of each other's cars. Red
Fun.
Bull is challenging the legality of the McLaren and the Ferrari
Double
front
kill.
wing. Yeah, double. So, I don't know if Red Bull is feeling the heat of McLaren and Ferrari catching up on them, or if they want to get ahead of something, but they are trying to get an investigation going on those front wings, according to Auto Motoro und Sport, a German media outlet.
They
I'm
should
not
let
reading
me
that.
investigate.
I'm reading the Sports Illustrated article, but that's who originally reported it.
Yeah, you
So-
don't speak German, Ethan.
No, I don't speak German. Don't speak German. So we'll see where this goes. Earlier this year, or was it this year?
Mm.
I can't remember if we had a team ask the FA to look into anyone this year. So yeah, this might be the first time this year. We'll see what happens. I believe now in Formula One, all the upgrades have to be approved prior to being put on the car. So I don't think that McLaren or Ferrari are going to get any sort of penalty or is going to be asked to remove those parts or anything. I think it's kind of a big nothing burger, but it is there.
I could go for a burger.
Yeah, even a nothing burger.
Yeah.
Okay. Carlos Sainz update is what I have for you next. This quote, I don't know how accurate it is because it was he said it on a Spanish television show, but translated to English by Sports Illustrated, the quote is, "There isn't one option. There are various. I won't lie to you. All the teams that haven't signed both their drivers for next year, I'm on their list. They have offered me a contract and I could sign with them tomorrow, but I won't sign tomorrow. I will be calm and make a decision soon." So doors are still open for Carlos. Doesn't seem, he said every team that doesn't have their drivers for next year. I don't know if he means like that he knows that Mercedes is going to take Kimi Antonelli for next year, because Toto has basically said that Carlos isn't going to be a Mercedes driver. So I guess every team minus Mercedes that has an opening is looking into Carlos at least, which I mean even means like a team like RB supposedly, which I'm not sure how much I buy that either. But what I'm getting at is Carlos has options, and we're going to see his decision soon. It's become, I think, clear that Williams is the favorite, but he could still go to Sauber, which will become Audi. There's a lot of connections there. But we'll find out soon enough. So keep the eyes and ears peeled. I'm also bringing you all an Adrian Newey update. There is a rumor again, Sports Illustrated, that Adrian Newey has already signed a $105 million multi-year contract with Ferrari, which would pair him up with Lewis Hamilton, who he's always wanted to work with. And what I think maybe gives some weight to this rumor is that it's not just saying that. There's like actual details. Whether these details are true or not, we don't know. But apparently Eddie Jordan was a pivotal part in finalizing this deal, which makes sense as Eddie Jordan is Adrian Newey's manager. So apparently this deal was signed just before the Miami race and would be a 3-year deal. We'll see if it's true or not. I mean, it seems pretty detailed for it to just be a random rumor. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But as of now, it is just that, a random rumor. And last bit of Formula One news, barely Formula One news, but it is Formula One news. Brad Pitt's Formula One movie will release on the 25th of June next year, 2025. Get your butts in the seats for that. If you want
Yeah.
to. Personally, I don't really care too much about it.
That will probably be the one movie I will see in 5 years in the theater. So
Noted, not a movie guy, Andrew Hazlett.
yeah.
Weird,
Yeah.
if you ask me.
We're gonna go out of order here because we are back on Zoom and we are on a timer. Yay.
Yeah, we
Anyway,
love that.
we're gonna go with the WEC news. Because it's a lot, but it's also a little. The WEC scheduled the same order and track. Good news, continuity. Bad news, continuity. Depends if you like the schedule already, you like it. You hate the schedule, you hate it. So yeah.
What are your thoughts on the schedule?
We don't need to be going to Bahrain and Qatar. Let's go to like Silverstone, or let's go to uh Bathurst. We need we
Bathurst,
need
yes.
they need Australian representation on the calendar, and African too, but like down under's kind of more
Can
important.
those cars, like, can the hypercars fit on Bathurst?
I don't know. I know the old LMP ones did, but yeah, we'll see. I don't know.
We'll see.
I would like it.
I like Bathurst. That's such an awesome track. The 24 hours of Bathurst is always a fun watch.
Yeah. Uh, Heart of Racing will field two Aston Martin Valkyrie hypercars in the 2025 FIA WEC hypercar class, and it isn't, which has now been extended to the 2029 season. So that's good. Hypercars are great right now. I don't see any reason to end it in the future. You've got new manufacturers coming. No one's pulled out of note. Sorry, Glickenhaus and Colas, Van Wall, whatever you want to call that team. But no one big has pulled out. So that's good.
Haas is notable, in my opinion.
They're notably garbage. Sorry,
They're a big name,
Glickenhaus
though.
fans. Glickenhaus?
I consider them a big name.
That's like saying
Everyone, if you know racing, you know who Glickenhaus is.
but in terms of cars, they're not big.
Sure,
They're
yeah.
they're not Ferrari.
No, definitely not. But like everyone knows who Glickenhaus is if you know racing.
I didn't before they came, so just shows you how much I know. Anyway,
That's just because you're a NASCAR head.
that's not true. I like IndyCar. FI 2025 WEC season onwards, each manufacturer in hypercar will have to be entering minimum 2 cars. This only reflects Cadillac and Isata right now. Isata does have a second car ready. Cadillac, will they want to enter a second car next year? That's where the questions strike because they are American based because America, yay. But I think they will be will do too. We'll see. Um, and finally, oh, actually two more sports car things. Next generation of LMP2 reels set has been postponed by 2 years from 2026 to 2028. I don't like this because Orcas right now are just OP and everyone uses them. But the teams all wanted this. So I don't know why. Anyway, hydrogen prototype class. Actually, I do want to mention some of this. We don't really need LMP2 in the 24 hours of Le Mans anymore. We can get up to 62 cars on GTs and hypercars, I think, right now. So yeah, we don't need LMP2s anymore. A hydrogen prototype class will be introduced in 2028 for Le Mans WEC. So yay.
Hydrogen cars are so weird,
We'll see
but
how that
it's
is.
interesting, I guess.
You have Liberty Global, which is not the American company, to purchase controlling stake in Formula E, as I can't pronounce anything. And so yeah, we'll see.
Liberty Media, Liberty Global, not the same.
Yeah,
Are
just
they in
saying.
any way related?
I don't think so. I
Let's
don't
look it
know
up.
so, but I don't think so. Well, you look that up, Ethan. Martin Truex Jr. will retire at the end of the 2024 NASCAR Cup Series season. From full time, he still wants to do about 10 weekends a year. So I think you'll be able to see him at some of his home tracks because he really doesn't have one. And
Liberty
Daytona.
Media, Liberty Media International, and United Global Com joined together in 2005, creating Liberty Global. So I guess it's like an arm of Liberty Media.
Yeah. So yeah.
Interesting.
But Truex retiring, this is kind of expected. He's been talking about it for years now. I thought he might have one more year left in him, but yeah, we'll see. The 19 car is open, is now the most coveted free agent spot. If you're team Chase Briscoe, the one of the leading favorites there. I could also see uh, Chandler Smith going there or Corey Heim. I think there's other things that could happen there, but a lot of them would the Riley Herbst pick. That's a terrible idea. Don't do that. The John Hunter Nemechek pick, again, don't do that. He hasn't been beating Eric Jones yet. I'd rather see Jones go in. I think maybe taking Tyler Reddick away from 2311 wouldn't be a bad idea, but they wouldn't do that. Yeah, we'll see. Maybe Noah Gregson, Bass Pro Shops connection. But yeah. Ethan, do you have any thoughts on old stage winner MTJ retiring?
I mean, he's a legend of the sport, really. I mean, I I would say so. He's been in NASCAR for so long. He's had success. It's it's a notable deal that he's retiring. Well, yeah, I'd say that much.
Yeah. Quick other piece of NASCAR news here. AJ Allmendinger to drive a third colleague car at the Watkins Glen race. So yeah, that makes sense. AJ Allmendinger, noted road racer. Of course, Colleague would want him in. Not a surprise. So yeah, just always good to see an extra entry because
That's fun.
NASCAR needs entries to
Yeah.
have a full field again. Moving to IndyCar news, what I thought was going to be the big news this episode, IndyCar signing a multi-year broadcast deal with Fox, and the IndyCar schedule was unveiled. Kind of a 2-for-1. They were both dropped at the same time, I think Thursday. Yeah, this is a good thing because Fox is paying a lot more, but ND keeps getting to produce it with their productions, so that they do the producing for NBC now, and we'll do the Fox thing later when that happens. So this is an absolute win. As long as they don't go overkill with commercials, they'll be fine. Yeah, it's likely going to be Adam Alexander. on play-by-play. After that, hopefully you can bring in James Hinchcliffe and Bell from NBC. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
If not, bring back Paul Tracy, because he was certainly a character, and I would like him. It would be interesting seeing him and Hinch, because T-Bell, I do like Townsend Bell, but he's kind of just boring in a way. But he's a good boring. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. IndyCar schedule unveiled. Thermal is now a points race from an all-star race. Can't wait to see that one, said everyone.
Interesting move.
Milwaukee loses a race, kept the points races at 17. No all-star race this year. All races on Fox this year, so that's good. No NBC, no USA or Peacock crap. That's a W. Gateway moves from late in the schedule, race 14 to race 8. Road America going back from 8 to 9. Laguna Seca going back from 9 to 14, just later swapping dates in the schedule. So yeah, that the big W is all races on Fox. I will say a surprise continuity of Nashville being on the oval makes me think, will we have another Nashville street course race? I think so, because uh the sponsor of that race, Big Machine, Scott Borchetta, uh he likes having the Nashville race. So as long as he's gonna back up the Brinks truck, yeah. What are your thoughts on the Indy schedule, Ethan? Yay, nay?
It's just kind of in the middle. I don't think too much really changes. Yeah,
Mhm.
Milwaukee down a race. They changed up where the races are in the schedule. It's not like crazy big moves. The one thing that is interesting to me is Thermal now being a points race. I honestly don't like that, but I'll live. It's just one race.
Yeah. I feel that it will take the Indianapolis road course of being the most hated racetrack on the schedule. We'll see.
By
Hopefully,
a probably decent margin.
yeah. Season 2 of 100 Days to Indy debuts on Netflix this weekend. So now we have, or that was last weekend, but yeah, now we have both seasons of 100 Days to Indy uh, on Netflix. Yay. And did you hear that, Ethan?
No,
You did not hear the chicken going off there? Did you hear
no,
it there?
no. I can't hear the chicken. Oh, I heard the chicken now.
Okay. Think that sounds like the chicken award. We have this time it goes to Arrow McLaren getting the
Very
chicken
deserving.
award.
Very deserving.
What did they do this time? They replaced Tail Pourchaire with Nolan Siegel starting now.
Yeah.
Why? Oh, I know. The Brinks truck money.
So how
That's what you get. So basically what happened, drivers of the 6 car this year. You had David Malukas. He was going to be full time. That didn't happen. Brought in Callum Ilott for a couple of races, then Pourchaire for races, and then they said, "Oh, we're going to make you full time outside the Indy 500, or we're bringing back Callum Ilott." And now we're at Siegel.
Yeah. I can't defend McLaren's IndyCar moves anymore. It was already getting hard, but I mean, like, I'm still gonna be a fan of them. I'm not gonna stop supporting them just because I disagree with their decisions, but I can't defend their decisions anymore. It doesn't make sense to me. Like, nothing against Nolan Siegel. I'm pretty sure I've been on here saying I think he's extremely talented and I really like him as a driver. But in my mind, I still don't understand this move at all. I think Tail Pourchaire is the better racing driver. Again, nothing against Nolan Siegel. He's extremely young. He's extremely talented, but so is Teo Porcher. And I just think that Teo is better. And he was only going to race for McLaren and IndyCar for the rest of this year. And then I think that they were probably going to get Nolan Siegel. And the reason they brought him in now is because, he's not going to be really competing in Indy Lights anymore. He had that sub in for Juncos. So he's in the Indy world. He's in the IndyCar world. He is moved up out of Indy next. He is fully in the Indy world. And McLaren, they probably had their eyes set on him for next year, but they don't want to lose him for next year. So they're signing him for the rest of this year, and it's a multi-year deal. He will be there next year as well. I think that this is going to be the end of the McLaren drama. I think they finally got the guy they wanted, but I don't think it's the right move. And it's also extremely disrespectful to Teo Porcher, who quit Super Formula in Japan to race full time for McLaren for the rest of the year. And now they're just casting him aside. And again, I don't think it's the right move, but obviously McLaren does. Tony Kanaan, who is the sporting director for McLaren's IndyCar team, he said, this is a quote from the race: "You've got to trust me on this. I'll put my job on the line." So if that doesn't show that McLaren believes in Nolan Siegel and that this is their guy, I don't know what does. I just think it's the wrong decision, and I think how they went about it is really terrible. And Andrew, we were texting about this, and you were saying that you think that this could have been, I don't know if you still think this, but at the time you were saying that this could be something that Teo and McLaren decided with the both of them, and that Teo would go back to the European realm of racing. I don't think so.
Not exactly, but keep going.
Well, yeah. So this is from the Racer. They reached out to Teo Porcher and Teo Porcher's team, and they didn't get an official comment on what transpired, but it was made clear to the Racer that Teo Porcher, his interest is staying in IndyCar, and he's going to search for a new IndyCar team. He's not planning on going back to Formula One. It's not like he was released by McLaren so he can go and get embedded with the Sauber team for a drive next year. No, this is just a disappointing move, and I don't know how else to say it, how many other ways I can word it. It's just I don't like it.
Yeah. McLaren's officially lost me now. I'm just gonna say this now because you kicked a guy out for another guy who is making the guy that you first kicked out he's making his first race with another team when you're the guy that you replaced him with. You know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Is not at the team anymore, kind of thing. I don't know, but yeah, McLaren looks terrible. They've lost me.
In baseball, you're signing guys and DFAing them and signing guys and DFAing them but it's like it doesn't even they don't deserve to be released. They don't deserve to be cast aside. I understand that McLaren wanted Nolan Siegel, but the way they went about it was really poor. And I also, just again, I don't think it's the correct move. I rate Teo Porcher higher than I rate Nolan Siegel. It's such a confusing move. I hope that luck starts going in Teo's way, because he's essentially gone from a guy who looked like he would one day fight for a Formula One championship to a guy who can't keep a racing seat through very little to no fault of his own. It's just sad for him, honestly. And he put on Twitter, he was so excited to be in IndyCar, so excited to race at Laguna Seca. And now he's just cast aside for the new shiny toy. And honestly, if it happens once to a driver getting cast aside, it's unfortunate, but in the grand scheme of things, I don't think anyone cares too much. People get over that. It happens a second time, eyebrows start to raise. It happens over and over and over again. Drivers aren't going to want to go to McLaren because they're not going to feel that they have job security. You're shooting yourself in the foot. So now you have to keep Siegel, even if, and I think he will, but even if he doesn't adjust fast enough, they can't get rid of the guy. You know what I mean? They back themselves into such a corner.
Through when McLaren took over, they canned Hinchcliffe for Pato Award. That wound up being a good move. Yeah. They brought in uh Oliver Askew. They canned him for Felix Rosenqvist, who they canned for David Malukas, who they wanted to can for Alex Palou not once, but twice, and were unsuccessful. And then they canned Rosenqvist for Malukas, who they canned for Porsche, who they've canned for Siegel. Terrible.
Yeah. It's just
Terrible.
honestly disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah. On right now, I'd rather be the second Red Bull. I think the second Red Bull seat has more security than the third McLaren, Arrow McLaren seat in IndyCar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, like the only thing that not the only thing, like it's obvious. McLaren rates Siegel higher than Porcher, and even if I disagree, like they're obviously entitled to their own opinion, and they obviously know more about racing talent than I do. But like the other theories, like just trying to make sense of it, like is it because Siegel comes from so much money? Like maybe, but I don't really think so. Like it's not like McLaren needs the money. It's not like Zach Brown has it's not like Zach Brown isn't the literal mastermind of getting sponsorships and money for your racing endeavors. Like
There has been a rumor where
that,
title
yeah, then
sponsor Arrow is leaving.
yeah,
I've seen
but
that.
I've seen that rumor as well, and that's kind of where I was going with this. But okay, the title sponsor leaves, but it's Zach Brown. He'll get another sponsorship. I don't know.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
it has to be that the team rates Siegel higher than Pourchaire, and they scrambled to secure him for the future, even when they had a perfectly fine
hmm
driver. But that's as you can probably hear a car alarm go on in the distance. Yeah, it's just it's the crazy world of motorsports, man. But it's
Yeah.
yeah. I hope Nolan Siegel succeeds. Like I have nothing against him, but I really hope that the Teo Porcher lands on his feet
Mhm.
and honestly lands in a position better than where he was. I don't think that that's going to happen, but
Yeah.
hopefully he just lands on his feet.
Um, if he's going to be driving this year, it's probably the only place that you can go is Dale Coyne Racing, who is wide open. Now they need two drivers for Toronto and then a driver for their car for the rest of the season because they haven't. I don't know
I'm
if they've announced. Have they announced the driver for this weekend yet? I don't remember. So
not
did
sure.
announce Giotto for some races.
I'm
I don't
sure they
know.
are already on the phone
Mm-hmm.
with Teddy Porkchops. Yeah.
They have Giotto for this race and alongside Jack Harvey. But they they need I think possibly goes there. What I thought originally, and I don't know about this anymore, but what I thought was okay. I remember reading about a week or so ago. Oh, Arrow McLaren working to re-sign for Sharon Rossi. I think for next year
Mm-hmm.
because I think Porsche got Sauber, Kick, Audi, Stake. They said, okay, all right, we're putting you in the 20 the seat alongside Hulkenberg. Porsche went to McLaren and said, okay, this is my plans for 2025. And then McLaren said, okay, we wanted someone we can build around for the future, and said, okay, Siegel's that guy.
I
That
don't
that
think
that
that's
that
how it transpired.
I don't think so either. And then dropping Porsche now. I don't think so. I think it's a possibility of how things went, but based on other comments,
Yeah, based on the comments
yeah.
he made to the racer, I don't think so.
Mm-hmm.
Before that information came out, I can understand how that could be a thought, but
Yeah.
I think his current goal is to stay in IndyCar because the door on his F1 career has all but closed. And
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
it is unfortunate. If you can't tell, I rate Teo Porcher very highly.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by the way his career has gone because if we were talking about this back in his F3 days and you told me that he was getting dropped from IndyCar for an unproven driver and
I
Nolan
wouldn't, I wouldn't,
Siegel.
I wouldn't say unproven. He just won Le Mans in his class. He's a, he's a,
Okay,
he's a heck of a
unproven in
wheeler.
IndyCar. Like
Yeah.
obviously I think he's gonna succeed because yes, like you said, he won IndyCar for Zach Brown's team, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He won IndyCar. He's proven himself in Indy Next, but he hasn't proven himself at the IndyCar level. And I'm not saying Teo Porcher has. I'm just saying he hasn't had the opportunity to. And
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and if you told me that he was getting dropped for a driver like Nolan Siegel, who is kind of in the same boat as him in terms of
Mhm.
what he's done in IndyCar, coming from a background of success but unproven in IndyCar, I don't know. It's just a weird lateral to slightly
Mhm.
downwards move that I just don't understand.
Yeah, you have to give your drivers time. You didn't want to give Rosenquist time. You didn't give Askew time. Hinchcliffe was the real exception because he was old, but and now you didn't give Malukas time and didn't give Porsche time. You got to give these guys time to adjust.
It's
And
like
yeah,
they're rushing to become a premier team in IndyCar and they don't realize that things take time. And it's
mm-hmm,
crazy to me that it seems that way. Maybe I'm just reading the situation wrong, but that's what it seems like. And
mm-hmm,
coming from F1 where it was a a journey to get to where McLaren is now in Formula
yeah,
1. It wasn't a sprint. It was a 24-hour endurance race to get back to where they are in Formula 1 now. And the fact that they're trying to make it a drag race in IndyCar, they should know that it doesn't work like that.
yeah. They should. Funny thing earlier is what Tony Kanaan basically said. Just trust me, bro. That's
He
basically
said
what he said.
he did say source, trust me, bro, but he also put his job on the line, not literally, but
Like Mad Dog did when he said the Diamondbacks wouldn't beat the Phillies
yeah.
twice in the NLCS.
Yeah.
He should be called
Shall we move on?
Mad Bum. A couple other things I think uh I Siegel is a great race car driver. His dad is very smart. He is very rich, but also very smart. What his original plan was, it was just to have Siegel run Indy Lights and then do a handful of races this year so he can maintain Rookie of the Year. And then but not go over the while still retaining rookie status. Now he has advanced his son into one of the big four IndyCar teams. He has been playing 4D chess with his son's career, and he might have just one. But
Yeah.
with McLaren's history, they'll kick him out in 2 years' time at best.
I
Hey,
don't know. I do think that this is their guy, but yeah, that would be the least surprising thing ever.
yeah, anyway, you get the chicken, throw the chicken against door. Anyway, into the previews.
And now for next week's race previews.
Uh, IMSA goes to Watkins Glen, all 4 classes. LMP2 back for the first time since who knows when. It was a while ago. Most teams going with 2 for your pro classes. You have to run 3 in AM. But there are some exceptions in pro. I will read them for you and other changes in IMSA Watkins Glen. Jimmy Bruni is right now listed as the only driver for the Proton competition. Mustang sampling number 5 Porsche. Um, the only team that is bringing all 3 drivers in your GTP class is the JDC Miller team, which is bringing Phil Hansen. Everyone else going 2. Um, an LMP2, yeah, everyone going sticking with their regular drivers except for MDK by High Class Racing. Lawrence Hoare raced Sebring and Daytona. They're bringing in Scott Huffaker, who raced Daytona, and for them this for this race. Dragon Speed, they've had a bunch of drivers race with them. They're bringing Eric Lux, Rasmus Lin, and Nicholas Varone in for them. Lux did Daytona, Lind did Sebring. In GTD Pro, Neil Verhagen is in the 1 this week alongside Sellers and Snow. Uh, no, nothing else. Everyone else is doing 2 drivers. GTD, uh, actually, I will mention going up to Hypercar. The Lamborghini Iron Lynx is back with Caroli and Caldarelli. Um, they only do some races, and they're also back Iron Lynx, Lamborghini, and GTD Pro with Pepper and Pereira. Yeah, they're the only 2 teams that are coming back. The 023 and GTD is back for Watkins Glen. The T Tri-RC entry. Scrolling through here. 21A, of course, entry is back. Ian James and Zachary Robicon are back for Heart of Racing. One of them is a regular driver. The other one is the endurance driver replacing Spencer Pompelli. Those 2 guys were doing WEC. You have the 44 Magnus Aston back, the Celatar 47 Ferrari back. Going through here, you have the 80 Lone Star Racing entry back and the 83 Iron Dames entry back. And finally, that's it. No, not a lot of driver changes. Uh, yeah, going to where are we going next on our document guide that I have to find? Laguna Seca. IndyCar, you have Indy next doing 2 races, I will mention. You have Nolan Siegel in the 6 McLaren, as we have mentioned already. You have Harvey and Giotto in the Dale Coyne entries. And you have David Malukas taking over for Elio Castroneves in the 66 shank car, making his first start of the year, and then Augustine Canapino back in the 78 entry. So yeah, that is it in terms of those entries. And then you have NASCAR, and then we'll get to Ethan's Formula One, because I know he's waiting patiently for me to finish this. In the Cup Series race, you have 36 entries. Kaz in the 15, Ty Dillon in 16 this week. And then you go to Xfinity of 39 entries. So one car will be going home. Your JD Motorsports cars are Smithley and Armani Williams, who's in a Ford, not the typical Chevrolet for JD Motorsports. So that's interesting. Alex Bowman in the 1700 Motorsports. The two Joe Gibbs Racing All-Star cars are Justin Bonsignor, the Whelen modified multi-time champion, I believe. I think he's a multi-time champion. And then Christopher Bell in the 26 is Corey Heim for Sam Hunt. Glenn Reen is in the 35 for Joey Gase. He's a modified local guy, apparently. You have the 74s back with Jade Buford for Mike Harmon Racing. 88 for Junior Motorsports, Carson Quapple. 92 is this week for DGM is Nathan Bird. And the two SS Greenlight cars are Patrick Emmerling and Logan Bearding. No Eric Almirola. Apparently they for him and Joe Gibbs, they ended their relationship of driving in car. Might have been around that he gets us sponsorship, which I think Almirola, who is a Christian, has a different framing of what Christianity is than he gets us. If you want to read into that, you can. I'm not going to go into it here. But anyway, pick points. I've closed the gap on Ethan just a little. 24 hours of Le Mans. Morgan, who picked last week, shout out Morgan. He had the winning hypercar 50 Ferrari. Ethan, you had the top LMP2. The other two just didn't make it to the end. You had Cool Racing getting one cool point. Same story in GT3, LMGT3, Manthai Pure Racing. They had an Oopsie and 46 WRT. Oh, I skipped your Formula One preview. You'll get to this after I do pick points. I'm sorry, Ethan, because they did an Oopsie, but the 31 did it. Got it. The point. Chandler Smith was the highest finishing Xfinity driver of our picks over Allgaier and Hill. And then Ryan Blaney. I had him winning the race. He did. Talk about Formula One. They go to Spain, I think.
Yeah. Before getting into any of the F1 stuff, I know this isn't a baseball podcast, but RIP to Willie Mays. They just announced that he passed away earlier today. San Francisco Giants legend, Major League Baseball legend, greatest to ever do it, I would say. So, respects to him. But yeah, Formula One. Sorry, just wanted to say that.
Yeah, you can
but
say
yeah,
it.
previewing Spain, Red Bull always does amazing at Spain. Max Verstappen in particular, that is where he got his first win. This is the perfect place for Sergio Perez to try and bounce back. We'll see if he is able to, but honestly, in that car, on that track, yeah, he's got to do something, man. He's got to do something. Getting into the other teams, McLaren, with their car being more suited for lower to medium speed corners, after these last few upgrades, it'll be interesting to see how they can adapt back to a more medium to high speed circuit, in Catalonia. So given those two kind of facts that Red Bull will be really strong and that we don't exactly know how McLaren will compete. And then coming off the back of Ferrari having an absolute abysmal weekend, this could be a little bit more like the Formula One of the past 2 years instead of the Formula One of this year, as in Max Verstappen will probably win by a rather big margin. That would be my official guess, but we'll see. The top 4 teams are all bringing upgrades to Spain. We don't exactly know what they're going to be, but
I'm bringing an upgrade to my pick point strategy.
So yeah, that's basically the quick little rundown on Spain. Oliver Behrman will be in the Haas for FP1. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, we can get into the picks for this weekend. There are
You lead by
there's a lot. There's a lot.
Most ever in a weekend.
And now for next week's race picks.
But you lead the guest by 40. You lead me by 31 right now. I'm closing the gap. Last week was a gain. Last couple weeks before that were a setback, but it's time. IMSA going to Watkins Glen, as I mentioned. My dad and I, who was picking for the guest this week, we're both taking the 7 Porsche. Ethan,
Sorry.
who you taking? Watkins Glen, IMSA.
Oh, you guys went with the 7 Porsche. I'm going with the 6 Porsche. I believe the 7 leads the standings, but the 6 has had a little bit more recent success. So I'm gonna ride with that.
LMP2, my dad's going with the 22 United after the numbers Le Mans victory.
Yeah.
Different team though. I'm going with the 04 CrowdStrike. They haven't struck yet this season, but I think the CrowdStrike car will strike. Take the victory.
Yeah. For me, I'm going with the 18 Era Motorsport. I believe they have the only 2 wins for the LMP2 class in IMSA. So ride with what's hot again.
Yeah. My dad and I going with the defending winner in class 14, Vassar Sullivan, Lexus.
For me, I am going with, for the 3rd time in a row, the 77 AO Racing. The last 2 times I picked them, they won. So I don't see any reason to not pick them a 3rd time. If they don't win this time, then we'll start having a conversation. But for now, they are still my guys.
In GTD, my dad going with the 32 Korthoff Preston. I'm going with 27 Heart of Racing. They're due for a win.
Yeah. I'm going with the 57 Windward. They're leading the standings, I believe. They're strong. We'll keep it going.
Yeah. Indy next, going to Laguna Seca, 2 rounds for them. My dad and I, for the first race, have Jacob Abel.
I have Louis Foster.
I'm going to spoil it. You have Foster for both of them.
That is true.
My dad going with a new winner, Callum Hedge, the rookie, getting his first one. He's 6 on points. I'm going with Louis Foster. Ethan, going on the same way as Ethan.
For me, my logic is he has to do well in one of them.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
safe.
I'm trying to cover my bases. I'm playing it safe with the lead
I
for that category anyway.
Yeah. My dad going with Scott Dixon, who was my pick, but I just changed Alex Palou. Both they're the same driver, basically. Smooth, quiet, good.
I went with Scott McLaughlin. Hasn't won at Laguna Seca, but he has been pretty good there in the past. A couple of top 5s and such. So I believe he even finished. I might be completely wrong. I believe he finished their 2nd last year.
I don't know
Maybe
about
not.
that. Maybe.
I don't remember. I was looking at his Laguna Seca record. I saw there was like a fourth and a top three, so third or second. I don't know.
Mhm.
I'm going with Scott McLaughlin though.
Formula 2 goes to Spain. My dad went with Zane Maloney, both races covering. Went off of last year's results. Victor Martins and Oliver Bearman did well there last year.
Yeah.
So that's sprint Martins Bearman main race.
Very different strategies with you and me because those guys were very good there last year. They haven't had the best season in F2 this year. I was kind of thinking of taking Martins for the sprint race because he has to be better than this, and I was actually surprised that you didn't. Because the reason I didn't go with Martins is because I was thinking Andrew won't know, but you did know. You did pick him. I'm going with drivers who are doing well there this year. Doing well in F2 this year.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Aaron for the sprint, Isaac Hadjar for the feature.
Main race. My dad has Perez, Verstappen, Hamilton. He's a big Perez enjoyer. And I'm going with Verstappen, Lando, Hamilton. Don't think Perez can figure it out. And Mercedes was fast last weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, Verstappen, Norris, Piastri for me. As I said, I do think Max will win by a long way, but I still think the McLaren is the second fastest car. I don't buy the Mercedes random resurgence, and after Ferrari's disaster class last weekend, I can't put them on the podium.
Mm-hmm. Xfinity, New Hampshire. My dad
You're-
going with
Your dad choosing Perez, though,
Allgaier.
and that's
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. My dad going with Allgaier. That's his traditional pick. I'm going with Christopher Bell. He eats there.
I'm going with I actually didn't know that Bell was in the Xfinity New Hampshire race. If I knew that, I probably would have picked him. I'm not going to pick him though. I'll keep it different. Going with Chandler Smith to win the Xfinity New Hampshire race. And then for the Cup Series race, I went with Kyle Larson, which means he will get wrecked on lap 77 and finish 28th.
My dad and I are going with Joey Logano because who doesn't love sliced bread? And it goes lobsters, which is the trophy at New Hampshire. So goodbye, people of the world. We'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.